Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening for our family orientation about the Bursars and financial aid offices. We have some fantastic campus partners here to talk to you about paying for your students' college experience here at TU. So I am going to pull up their presentation and turn it right over to them. But some housekeeping first. If you do have a question, feel free to put it in the chat. You should be able to chat with the hosts, and I will either respond to your question back in the chat, or I'll be able to hold on to those questions and ask them to our presenters at the end. If you need anything or have any questions unrelated to the financial aid or bursar's office, if you're thinking about things that are maybe coming up for orientation, questions about in-person orientation, feel free to email me. My email is in the chat. So my name is Catherine Knaus. I'm the Assistant Director of New Student and Family Orientation. I work primarily with our family, so it's really nice to meet many of you and see some of you again. And Grace, do you want to introduce yourself? Oh no, I stuck Grace on mute. Hang on, Grace. Great, there you go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Grace. I'm the Student Director for Family Engagement, and I'm a rising senior and nursing major.
So we're here to help you out with any general Towson questions, but to answer your question about all things money, I'm going to turn it over to Tom.
Okay, welcome to Towson University this evening. My name is Tom Ruby. I am the director of the Bursar's office here at Towson. I'm better known as the chief bill collector, by the way. Now, the Bursar's office is the student business office. We have two primary functions. The first function is to bill, and the second function is to collect. If I could have the next slide, please. So here at Towson University, we will be billing your student for their semester, and we bill for every semester. And we are trying to be a green campus. We're trying to eliminate the destruction of trees, turning trees into pulp into paper. And therefore, we will not be sending any paper bills home. We utilize an e-bill system here at Towson University. And we have a business partner that works with us as it relates to that e-bill, and they are TouchNet. Now, once your student has registered for the upcoming fall semester, a e-bill will be generated. And the Bursar's office will be sending to your student through their TU email address a directions to access their e-bill. It will provide them with some information to go to a e-bill portal whereby they will authenticate themselves and they'll be able to pick up their e-bill. Now, the student's e-bill will be itemized from the standpoint of tuition. All of the mandatory fees, such as auxiliary, athletics, technology, SGA, any other ancillary charges. If your student is living here on campus in traditional housing, not capstone housing, but our traditional Towson University inventory housing, that charge will, of course, appear on the bill as an itemized item. If your student is purchasing a meal plan, that meal plan will be also itemized and identified on the account. Any other charges, such as a parking permit, if the student will be receiving their educational materials through a digital access fee in lieu of a textbook, that will also be itemized on the account. Now, any payments will also be itemized on the account. If there is a cash payment, it will be identified as a cash payment. If it is a check payment, it will be identified as a check payment. If there is financial aid, such as a federal loan, a grant, a scholarship, those will all equally be itemized on the student's bill. Very easy to follow. Now, here at Towson, we confirm all class schedules with full payment. That's how we do business here at the university. Now, once the semester bill has been paid, if there are any new charges that may come onto the student's account, there will be a monthly statement. A monthly account statement will be provided to the student. Again, the bursar's office will send to your student an email directing them to the TouchNet e-bill portal, whereby they again will authenticate themselves and they will pick up their monthly statement, and any new charges that come on the account throughout the semester will be itemized there. If I could have the next slide, please. So for your student for the fall semester, their bill will be due on September 8th. Now, our continuing students, their bill is actually due on August 3rd. But we always give our incoming freshmen and transfer students some extra time for their bill to be paid. And that's why we are providing a later due date of September 8th. That only applies to the first semester. It does not apply to any other future semesters, but we do extend some extra time for the first semester for the bill to be paid. If I could have the next slide, please. So let's talk about payment. Payment, we do accept cash. I don't know how you feel, but I do like cash. However, please do not send any cash through the mail. If you would come to the bursar's office, to our payment center, we'll be happy to take your cash. We'll give you a receipt for that cash. If you're paying by check or money order, we ask you to make that check or money order payable to Towson University. And in the memo section of the check or money order, please identify your student's name and their TUID number. Now, we also accept ACH e-check payments, and they are accepted through TouchNet through the payment portal. It is very easy to use, and we find that many students and their parents are making use of that method of payment. What you would end up doing is coming to the TouchNet payment portal, identifying by the routing number and the account number of either the checking account or the savings account whereby the payment will be made, and the dollar amount that you want to make. It is an electronic process, and the ACH e-check payment is immediately posted onto the student's account. There is no fee associated with an ACH e-check payment. Wire transfers. We do accept wire transfers. You may be dealing with a lending institution, a bank, a credit union, and they wish to make the payment in your behalf by wire back to the university. And we do accept wire transfers. However, there is some information that you need to provide the lending institution, bank, or credit union so that that wire transfer is successful and it ends up being posted directly onto your student's account. That information is on the Bursar's website. You would come into the Bursar's website, you would find that information, and then you would give that information to the lending institution, bank, or credit union. Third-party payments. We do accept third-party payments. Now, let me give you some examples of third-party payments. Maybe your employer provides part or full educational support for your student. That would be a third-party payment. Maybe your student is receiving VA benefits. That would be a third-party payment. Maybe you are a participant of Maryland Prepaid College Trust, 509, or another state's prepaid college trust. That would be a third-party payment. Now, this is what we ask you to do. If there is going to be a third-party payment, please contact the Bursar's office as soon as possible. Let us know about that third-party payment. We may also need to help you from the standpoint of invoicing that third party for the payment for your student's cost of education. Now, if you are a member of Maryland Prepaid College Trust or another state's prepaid college trust, here's what you need to do. You need to go to their website, and there is an authorization form that you're going to go ahead and print off. You're going to complete that authorization form, and you want to identify to have the payment made directly to Towson University. That's the most expeditious way to get the payment to the university and posted to your student's account. Also, we ask you to marry up a copy of the e-bill with that authorization form, and then process that through the college trust, and everything works out very well that way. Now, credit cards. Here at Towson University, we do not accept credit card payments for semester bills. We just don't accept them. However, our business partner, TouchNet, through the payment portal, they do accept all 4 credit cards: Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and American Express. However, they do assess a convenience fee of 2.5% of the amount that is being charged. Next slide, please. Here at Towson, we do have a semester bill installment plan. And it is called the Tiger Installment Plan, or we also call it the TIP. You can schedule as many as 4 monthly payments for the semester bill in lieu of that one balloon payment. When my daughter was a freshman here, I looked into utilizing the Tiger Installment Plan. It worked out very well that first semester, and I continued to use it for her full academic career. Works out very well. Now, to enroll into the Tiger Installment Plan, there is a link on the Bursar's website that you can go ahead and set up your budget for the amount of money that you want to have paid each month for your student's account. There is a small enrollment fee associated with signing up with the TIP program. And you're going to identify how that payment will be made, either by an ACH e-check payment or a credit card payment. And that will be automatically drawn every month on the 10th of the month for the payment that you have established as your budget. So it may be something that you'd like to look into for this fall semester, but the information is outlined on the Bursar's website, and it's very easy to enroll. Next slide, please. So there is a federal act that we are to comply with, and that is called the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. We always refer to it as FERPA. What that means is the Bursar's office and the financial aid office cannot disclose any information about the financial account or their financial aid account only to the student. It is a privacy act. Now, if you contact the Bursar's office or the Office of Financial Aid by phone or in person, and you ask us about information about your student's account, we will not be able to disclose that. However, your student can complete the release of information form through the TU Online Services account, which will grant that permission for you to have access to information about their financial account or their financial aid account. However, your student will need to be able to do that for you. Without that release of information form, we will not be able to disclose anything about their financial account or their financial aid account. So it's very important that you go ahead and work with your student to come to the release or the form that is on the TU Online Services account so that that information can be completed. And we have a way to authenticate whoever we're speaking to on the telephone or in person to make sure that we are only talking to that individual that the student has granted. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn the program over to one of my distinguished colleagues from the Office of Financial Aid to talk to you a little bit about the Office of Financial Aid and financial aid for your student. I will be back to talk to you right after that section.
Hi, everyone. My name is Monet. I work in the financial aid office, and I'm going to go over a couple of financial aid items for you guys. So first, if you haven't done a FAFSA yet, it's not too late. You can go on the website that's listed on the screen now to complete that FAFSA. You want to do that as soon as possible, as it takes a couple of days from the time you complete the application to get sent over to our office. So if you haven't done it yet, you can do it today. To be able to be eligible for the federal Pell Grant, federal student loans, or the Parent Plus loan, you need to have the FAFSA on file. So again, if you haven't done it yet, it's not too late. Next slide, please. So once you complete your FAFSA, you may or may not get selected for a process called verification. Basically, what verification is the IRS and the government basically fact checking everything that you put on your FAFSA to make sure that everything's correct and that we're awarding you based off of correct information. So just to complete verification, it doesn't take too much. We just need a worksheet from you guys. And then if your parents or yourself didn't do the IRS data retrieval tool, which is a tool that allows your tax information to get directly inputted into your FAFSA. If your parents didn't use that tool, then we just need a copy of their 2019 taxes submitted to our office. So if you are selected for verification, we do send you an email. We also post some items on your to-do list. So you can check on your TU self-service account if you've already done your FAFSA and you're not sure if you got selected for verification or not. You can check your email and you can check your to-do list to see if there's any documents from us. Aid will not be finalized and it cannot be dispersed to your bill until verification is complete. So you want to make sure that you get that done as soon as possible so all of that can be finalized before your bill is due. Next slide, please. Okay, so when you apply for federal aid, you will be eligible for federal student loans. So you may or may not be eligible for the subsidized loan. That is a need-based loan, but basically it does not accrue interest while you're in school. So you may or may not be eligible for that loan, but if you are, you want to take that loan out first because it's not accruing interest while you're in school, and that's the best loan for you. The second loan option is an unsubsidized loan, and you can also take out that loan, but that does accrue interest starting from the day of disbursement. So just keep that in mind. You definitely want to take the subsidized loan out first, and then any additional loans should you need it. You can accept these loans and the federal Pell Grant and any other grants or scholarships that you may or may not have been awarded. You can accept all of that on your TU online services. And we also send out an email when your financial aid package is available. We also, for freshman students, we send out letters in the mail. So you may have seen it in the mail, but haven't gone online to accept your package yet. You want to do that as soon as possible to make sure that that aid that you've been awarded gets applied to your bill. If you do take out your student loans, you need to complete a master promissory note and entrance counseling to have those loans dispersed. And that is located on the studentloans.gov website, and that's on your screen. So make sure that you do those two items to have your loans dispersed to your bill as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so then we have plus loans. So the Parent Plus loan is a loan that your parents can take out for you should you need additional funding after you've already been awarded your financial aid package. So parents, you can apply for that Parent Plus loan now. It does come with a credit check for parents. Students do not have a credit check, but parents do. You apply for this loan on the studentloans.gov website. If you are approved for the loan, you will also have a master promissory note that you will need to complete. If you are denied for the loan, then there's a couple of options for you. You can appeal it. You can also get an endorser. Or if those two options do not work for you, you can request additional unsubsidized loans via your TU online services. So if you are denied, you can just give us a call or an email and we can explain those processes for you. But just know that there's a couple of options should the parent get denied or the Parent Plus loan. Next slide, sorry. And then there's also private loans. So should you decide that you don't want to go with federal loans or you need additional loans outside of federal loans, you can do a private loan, and that is private, such as Sallie Mae, PNC, a credit union, those types of loans. Those loans take a little bit longer to process. So if you do want to apply for a private loan, just let us know. And then apply for those loans now, because it takes a while to go back and forth between Towson and the lender. Make sure that you are looking at the terms and interest rates, because they are different from federal loans, and you want to make sure that you're picking the best loan for your family. Next slide. And then paying your bills. So loan priority deadline, this is to make sure that all aid in your loan is processed and on your bill. You want to make sure that you have all of those steps that I mentioned prior. You want to make sure that those are all done before June 1st, which is, sorry, we're past June 1st. I think that's supposed to say July 1st. But yes, you want to make sure that you have your entrance counseling and your master promissory note all completed by July 1st to make sure that it's on your bill in time. All aid will get processed and dispersed to your bill on August 20th. And then any excess aid will generate a rebate check. And that is going to come from Mr. Ruby. He's going to talk to you guys a little bit more about rebate checks, but make sure that if you are still having issues with financial aid, getting documentation into us, or if you have exhausted your financial aid and you're making outside arrangements, you want to make sure that you make those arrangements before the deadline to avoid any late fees. And that's it from my part. I'm going to pass it back over to Mr. Ruby to close it out.
Okay, I am back, and I do want to talk a little bit about the financial aid rebates that Monte has just outlined, as well as the refunds. So if there is a financial aid package and there is surplus funds, we are obligated to refund that back to the student, and that's known as the financial aid rebate. Any general refunds, and let me give you an example of a general refund. The student has decided to live here on campus. They have, with the input from the parents, have selected a 19 meal plan. And after the student has been here for about a week, they realize that they're eating a little bit too much. Their pants are getting a little tight, and they call mom and dad and say, hey, I think I need to go to a different meal plan. And they both select to have that change from 19 to 10 meals. Now, with that change, there is a financial adjustment. A credit balance appears onto the student's account. And again, there would be a refund that would be made back to the student. Now, one thing that I want to make very clear, the student's account is the student's account. It is not the parent's account. So all refunds and all financial aid do go back to the student. Now, we have to have our students identify how they would like to receive their financial aid rebate or their refund. And they're going to do that through the Disbursement Online Center. We call that the DOC. And we have another business relationship with a business partner called Bank Mobile. They handle all of our financial aid rebates and refunds back to our students. So your student will need to go to the Disbursement Online Center and identify how they would like to receive their financial aid rebate or refund as it relates to a method. The first method is the most expeditious way to get your refund or financial aid rebate, and that is an electronic fund transfer back to a checking account or savings account. It works out really well. It's very quick. And furthermore, Bank Mobile will notify the student by email when the bank or when the money is in their bank account. Works out very well. The second option would be actually a paper check that would be mailed to the address that the student identifies. Now, I just want to caution you about paper checks. Probably you've heard about some of the issues dealing with the United States Postal Service. You know, a paper check would be mailed. There may be some delays in getting that check to the student. So, you know, we make that available. However, you know, it is not the most expeditious way and reliable way to get those refunds in a timely fashion. The final method is what we call the default. The student has selected nothing as it relates to how they would like to receive their financial aid rebate or refund. Therefore, it's going to be a paper check, and it's going to be mailed to the address that is in the Student Information Center. So you really want to have your student go ahead and set up how they would like to go ahead and get their financial aid rebate or their refunds. And again, the electronic fund transfer, EFT, is the best way to do it. Now, here's a little tip for parents. Some of these refunds, some of these financial aid rebates are some significant amounts of money. It might be very good for you to consider setting up a joint checking account or a savings account with your student for the deposit of those refunds or financial aid rebates. Now, here at Towson, we actually have a brick and mortar PNC bank in our student union. We have a satellite unit for the State Employee Credit Union in our West Village Common Center. There are multiple banks that surround this campus. So I really would suggest that you might want to think about opening up a joint account with your student so that you can help them manage that money. Next slide, please. Now, back in 1978, the federal government passed a higher education tax credit bill. And as part of that, the university is required to provide what is called a 1098-T tax form for all out-of-pocket payments associated with higher education. And I want to reemphasize, out-of-pocket payments related to the cost of education. Now, we are obligated by IRS regulations to have this 1098-T tax form delivered to the student no later than the 31st of January of each tax year. And we always meet that obligation. Now, we also have found that we are able to provide that 1098-T tax form as an electronic document. As I mentioned earlier, when I started my program, we are trying to be a green campus. We're trying to eliminate paper. And we do have this 1098-T tax form online. However, the IRS requires the student to acknowledge that that is the method how they want to receive the tax credit form. They would do that by coming to the Bursar's website. And there is a link associated with accepting the 1098-T electronic version that they would need to complete. Now, I don't know how you feel. However, when my daughter was an undergrad, I wanted to get my hands on that tax form so that she, of course, was my financial dependent, and I wanted to be able to use that tax form on my taxes. So we normally have the electronic version of the 1098-T form ahead of schedule, sometimes as early as 2 weeks before January 31st. We will notify the student by email when that 1098-T tax form is available for them to pick up. It's just a matter of authenticating themselves, picking up their accessing the 1098-T tax form, and making a copy of it for you so that you can submit it as it relates to your tax return with the federal government. But we asked you to please have your student go ahead and go to the Bursar's website so that they acknowledge that they would like to receive the electronic version of this tax form. Next slide, please. So here's some action items that I just want to go highlight and go over with you one last time. Now, if you are and your student is receiving financial aid, there is a to-do list. And your student really needs to be checking that to-do list on a frequent basis to make sure that everything is completed. Because if any of the items are not completed, the financial aid is not going to disperse onto their financial account. So they need to be active and looking to make sure that everything has been completed as it relates to the financial aid to-do list. Now, if your student or yourself are applying for loans, you need to do that as soon as possible. It is very important to go ahead and start that process probably tomorrow to make sure that you have all the loans and all the applications in place. Now, of course, I've already identified to you that September 8th will be your student's fall semester bill due date. And we also, as I mentioned, we give some extra time versus what our continuing students have to pay their bill on August 3rd. So we always give the freshmen and incoming transfers a little bit extra time, but the due date for your student's fall bill will be September 8th. Now, again, pay the bill and any monthly statements on time. It's very important. And I want to emphasize that confirming the class schedule is full payment of the fall semester bill. That's how we do business here. Now, if there is any charges that remain on the account for registration for the next semester, if those balances are more than $250, registration will be suspended until the account is paid down to $250. That is our benchmark as it relates to registration privileges. Now, have your student complete the release of information form so that we can comply with FERPA. Again, if you contact us by telephone, in person, email, we're not going to be able to share any information with you until we are able to see that the release of information form has been completed and we can verify who we're speaking with. Now, when my daughter was a freshman here at Towson, she got the email to her TU email address. It directed her to the TouchNet e-bill portal. She authenticated herself and she picked up her bill. Did she give it to me? Absolutely not. She held on to it, didn't let me know about it. However, one of my Bursar associates, 3 days before the bill was due, said, "Tom, your daughter's bill hasn't been paid." I'm the director of the Bursar's office, and I was very embarrassed about that. Of course, I immediately paid the bill and got set up on the Tiger installment plan, so that worked out pretty well. And I said, I am never going to let this happen to me again. And I don't want this to ever happen to anybody else as it relates to being a parent and not having any knowledge about the bill. So your student can authorize you as an individual who has access to their e-bill and to their financial account. Your student can come to the Bursar's website. There is instructions how they can authenticate you as their parent so that you have full access to the bill as well as their financial account. And you will get the email along with your student when the bill is available. You will be able to view the financial account with their authorization, but your student has to do it for you. You cannot do this authorization on your own. It is your student who has to provide the authorization for the e-bill and the financial account. So take some time, sit down, look at the Bursar's website, and have them go ahead and set you up as an authorized user. Have your students sign up through the Disbursement Online Center, the DOC. And again, that would be for financial aid rebates or refunds. And the most expeditious way to get it is an electronic fund transfer to a checking account or savings account. And Bank Mobile, of course, will notify your student when the money is in their account. Finally, have your student go ahead and sign up for the electronic version of the 1098T tax credit form. That will save the university some money. It'll eliminate us from destruction of trees and turning trees into pulp. You know, it's just a much better way to deliver that document. If I could have the next slide, please. Now, the Bursar's office and the Office of Financial Aid is located in the Enrollment Services building. This is a picture of it. You can't miss that building. It is the only building on our campus that actually looks like a World War II bunker. And we're located up on the 3rd floor. If I could have the next slide. Now, here is all of the contact information for both the Office of Financial Aid and the Bursar's office. If you have a question, okay, I would strongly suggest for you to utilize our website as your first point of contact. We have excellent websites, and we also have frequently asked questions sections on our websites. If you do not find the answer to your question, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We have Bursar associates as well as financial aid associates who will take your telephone call and respond to you as it relates to your question. But again, we need to make sure if there is any detailed questions about the financial account or the financial aid account, without that release of information form, we're going to be pretty limited as to what we can share. Now, if that doesn't work out, maybe you want to send us an email. There are our email addresses, and please just give us at least 24 hours to be able to respond to an email question. Next slide, please. So I want to thank everybody for their attention. My daughter had an opportunity to have a great educational experience here at Towson. She got her undergraduate degree as well as her master's here at Towson. I know that your student will also have a great experience, as well as you as a parent will have a great experience also. So thank you very much. And I will turn this back to our host.
Thank you so much. You did answer many of the questions that came through the chat. I'm going to see if we can get some answers for some of the other general questions. Tom, could you repeat when families can expect to be able to see the bill?
Sure. Based upon the enrollment for the student's class schedule, that's when the bill will actually be generated. And so, a couple of days after your student has officially registered and enrolled in classes, a bill will be generated, and we will be sending that email to your student's TU email address, telling them that there is a e-bill available, and they can go to the TouchNet e-bill portal, authenticate themselves, and you'll be able to see the bill right there.
Thank you. Do we have any idea what current loan interest rates are for federal loans, or where that can be found?
That can be found on the studentloans.gov website. And actually, when you go to do your master promissory note and entrance counseling, it tells you all about interest rates, repayment options, everything you need to know even before the loan gets dispersed to you. So you can go on studentloans.gov to read all about the subsidized, the unsubsidized, and the Parent Plus loan. And then also when you do master promissory note entrance counseling, it'll give you updated figures for what your specific loan will be.
Thank you. You talked about the process for folks applying for student aid. Is the process the same for folks paying through their own funds? I'm guessing about applying those funds to the bill. So I'm not sure if that person wants to clarify maybe what they're looking for, because we did talk about several methods of payment. So if you want to clarify your question, please feel free. Can students order books and supplies paid through the bursar's office?
No, that is all through the university store, and that is payment out of pocket. The bookstore also has some rental programs that can be set up, but those charges are normally not posted to the student's e-bill.
If someone has a FAFSA award, but they're not certain that it's linked to Towson, how can they make sure that their FAFSA is tied to TU?
So if you have a financial aid award package from us, then it was based off of your FAFSA. If you have a scholarship that's outside of the FAFSA that you're trying to get sent over to Towson, then you want to contact the person that's giving you the scholarship. But all federal aid that was processed through the FAFSA, and you put TU school code on your FAFSA, then we got it. Just make sure that Towson's on your FAFSA.
Great. What is the difference between the choices of tip plans, and how can someone decide which one to use?
Well, the tip plan is you can schedule as many as 4 payments and as few as 2. As well as 3 if you'd like. But the enrollment offers you to go ahead and set up a budget of how much you want to pay for each month associated with the balance of the bill. And then, of course, the draw either from a checking account or a credit card will be done the 10th of every month.
Thank you. We have a question about residency and in-state versus out-of-state. I know that's a very complicated question, but where should that family go to talk about making sure their student's residency status is correct?
Admissions office.
The admissions office. All right, thank you. I've got a question of how much are classes themselves? Do we have an idea of the current tuition rate?
You can go to the Bursar's website. All that information is outlined right there in great detail. I just don't have that information available, but you will be able to access all the costs associated with tuition, mandatory fees on our website versus part-time versus full-time, in-state, out-of-state.
And a great feature of estimated additional costs. So TU does a good job of trying to anticipate other things you'll incur, like books, out of pocket, just spending money. TU makes a guess of what might be reasonable for you. I think that's a handy feature. When can we expect for Maryland 529 funds to be dispersed?
Okay, well, once the 529 authorization form and e-bill is submitted to Maryland Prepaid, they do not send individual checks. What they end up doing is providing us with a master list of all the students who are going to have funds drawn from their 529. And then we receive one large check, which we go ahead and process onto the individual accounts based upon what the Maryland Prepaid College list, payment list provides us. Now, I'll be very honest with you. They are not speedy. So as quickly as you can put the authorization form in their hands along with a copy of the e-bill, that will certainly facilitate things. But you have to remember that they are dealing with a lot of other 529 participants and a lot of other universities and colleges as it relates to making these payments. But we do have a pretty good working relationship with them, and they give us that master list of students that they will be authorizing payment. We just wait for the check to arrive a little bit later.
Great. And then someone asked, when should they be worried about not seeing a bill? Their student already has a schedule and attended orientation.
Well, if they are not seeing a bill shortly after they have registered, then they need to contact the bursar's office.
Great. And then we've had several questions about applying outside aid and scholarships to their account. Can we just reiterate what that process is like?
For outside scholarships, typically the donor sends over a check to the bursar's office. So you can notify us ahead of time. There's a form that is located kind of close to the authorization form for FERPA. There is a form called the Notice of Additional Resources form, and you can let us know ahead of time so we can kind of budget that and put that space, kind of budget that out for you on your account if you want to let us know ahead of time. But it's nothing that we need to do because we're waiting for the funds from the outside donor. If you haven't applied for outside scholarships, you can go to towson.edu/scholarships, and you can see the list of all current available scholarships. So that those are your two options. If you are trying to get a scholarship sent over to us, then that's something you coordinate with the donor.
And of course, if there is a scholarship that is coming, it really needs to be made payable to Towson University, not the student, but it needs to identify the student's name and, if possible, their TU ID number so that we're posting that scholarship to the correct account.
Thank you. You mentioned that payments are to be made each semester. Does TU accept fees for the full school year?
No, we do not. We only bill each semester because things change from semester to semester. As it relates to a student may come in as a full-time in-state student, and the next semester they may elect to only do half-time. So we only bill based upon the enrollment for that particular semester.
Great. And we did have an ask to reiterate about out-of-state prepaid college plans, 529 plans. Does that work the same way as a Maryland plan?
Yeah, they all basically work the same way, whereby there's an authorization form. They also need a copy of the bill, and we also ask that the authorization form identify Towson to be receiving the payment versus having the payment come back either to the parent or to some other individual, because that just delays the payment to get to us.
Great. And someone asked how to use financial aid to buy books and if there's a maximum of grants and scholarships a student can receive.
I'll answer the second question first. Yes, there is a maximum to financial aid. Pretty much the maximum is whatever your cost of attendance is. So as an in-state student, you have a different cost of attendance than the out-of-state student. But you can pretty much only get grants, scholarships, and loans up into your cost of attendance. And I believe cost of attendance for an in-state student is around $26,000, around there for the year. And then for out-of-state student, I think it's a little bit more than that. But that is the maximum. And the first question was, can you repeat that for me?
And how could they use financial aid to pay for books?
So there is if you have financial aid that is in excess of your bill, then you will get the difference in a rebate check. And that rebate check comes through either direct deposit or a paper check. So you take that money, you deposit it into your account, and then you use it to pay for your books, your rent, if you're living off campus, other expenses that you have.
Great. And then we have a question about adding money onto students' meal plan cards to cover other expenses. That actually goes through our auxiliary services and One Card office. So we'll be sure to have information available about that throughout orientation session. Those are all the questions I'm seeing here. All right. Well, I want to thank our representatives from the Bursar and Financial Aid Office, and thank you all for attending and talking to us tonight. This recording will be posted likely next week because of the holiday. Please keep in mind that Towson University is closed this Friday and next Monday. So if you call the financial aid office or the Bursar's office, while they would be delighted to talk to you, they will not be talking to you on Friday or Monday. I will have this recording posted then hopefully next week for you. So again, we appreciate your interest and your support of your student. Have a great night and go Tigers. Bye-bye.